So, as you can see, I'm now officially men's physique Olympia champion. And to the left of me, we've got the gold medal, which I cannot believe I'm saying that. And we've got the silver and bronze there from years past as well. So before we go into talking about what's just occurred this past weekend, I want to take it back to basically how my career started in the Olympia. We're not going to go all the way back because we could be here forever, but basically start off my first Olympia and then work forward. So 2015, so that was 8 years ago, and that was my first ever Olympia. And I didn't go in with much expectation, but I was a young, hungry, very competitive athlete who wanted to take over the world, and I placed fourth in my first year with over 40 athletes. And it was a great start to my career in America, and it really set me up for the years to come. And I felt like I had a point to prove with being the only European up there and being very heavy American. I felt like I needed to represent hard, and that is kind of what I did. So in 2016, we came back stronger, harder, and we placed second in the world. 2016, we got the silver medal, which is the side of me. So in 2017, I came back, I was second in the world, and I felt like for me to be in the best position politically, if you should say that, or momentum-wise, was for me to move to America and immerse myself in the federation and really give myself the best shot. So I decided to do the Arnold Classic at the early part of 2017, and I won the second most prestigious show in the world, which is the Arnold Classic. So again, gave me a really good momentum and put me in a prime position for winning in 2017. It didn't go my way, unfortunately, and it actually went the opposite way. I dropped from second to sixth place, and it really hit me hard. And I went into a bit of a depression, and I just couldn't find my way out of it for quite some time. So in 2018, I had to kick myself really hard to get back up and believe in myself to get back in the running for that first place spot. 2018, I came back and I placed third, so I went from sixth to third. 2019, I decided to come in a little bit different. I wanted to see if I could, basically the missing pieces was size. Everyone kept talking to me about size. You need to be big, you need to be bigger. And I let it get in my head, and I went in and I came in a lot bigger than I normally did, but not because I had more muscle, just because I didn't come in as conditioned as I normally do. And that for me was my downfall, because I dropped from third to fifth. But as we're talking about this, the reason I'm talking about these placings is the fact that I was always in the mix around that, and I was always yo-yoing up and down. From fifth place, I then dropped to seventh place. And a lot of people lost belief in me, and for good reason, because I was going one way. I wasn't going towards the first place. I was actually deteriorating places each year. Yeah, so I was actually deteriorating in places, not going towards the title. So for me, it was really difficult, and I think I lost a lot of belief in myself, and people around me did as well. So this year, I was seriously contemplating whether this was going to be my last year. And the reason for that is, I'm somebody who doesn't ever want to make the numbers up. I want to be a competitor. I want to know I've got a shot at winning. So going into this year's Olympia, obviously this will be my 9th attempt at the Mr. Olympia. And there does come a time where you start to question whether it's still worth going at, because obviously it's not just me I have to think about. I have a young family now. I've got a 3-year-old, 12-week-old daughter and my wife, and it's not me who just has to sacrifice a lot. They sacrifice a lot of social things, seeing me, I'd say coming second to sleep, eating, training, everything I have to do, my routine. And if I'm not in contention of winning, for me, what's the point? I need to know I've got a chance of winning and being what the judges see as men's physique. Otherwise, I don't want to put my family through it. And I've done everything I can in my career other than that Olympia title. So there were questions. We had the odd conversation, me and the wife, thinking, is this the last year? Because if I was to place out the top 5 again, it's very unlikely that I'm going to win the Olympia if I keep placing out the top 5. I'm obviously not what the division is anymore in this present day. So I wanted to put my everything into this year, and that's why I wanted to do New York. So I did New York in May because potentially this could have been my last year, and New York was the only title in my career I had not got other than the Olympia, and I always wanted that New York title. So doing that was the best thing I ever did, because as I prepped into it, I got feedback from the judges from that show. I won the show, but it was invaluable being there because the judges told me what I needed to correct in order to be a top contender for the Olympia. And that's something I've never done before, which I probably should have done. And that gave me a game plan and a bit of a belief that I could actually stand toe-to-toe against these guys and get back in the mix for that first place. So I prepped hard. We had 6 months prepping hard. And in that 6 months has probably been the most difficult 6 months of my life, because I stupidly decided to build a 20,000 square foot gym facility, which I'm project managing myself. I decided to put on the Ryan Terry British Championships, which is a huge show, bodybuilding show, with a lot of moving parts, which needed a lot of organising. I decided to have a young daughter, well, my wife had a young daughter, but the sleepless nights and a new baby in the house, newborn baby in the house, who needs everything from you. And then prepping for the Olympia. And just to put into context, I was probably sleeping twice, 2 hours a night. I was training 11 till 1 in the morning. I was then getting 2 hours sleep on the sofa, and then I was doing my cardio at 4 o'clock in the morning so that I didn't miss my daddy duties in the day, being back making breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I was still present in my family life, and then I was project managing through the day. So it was a real difficult time for me with no sleep. My wife was worried about me, my family was worried about me, because I was running myself into the ground. And this is why I know I made the right decision in marrying my wife, because she came to me and said, you need to go. You need to focus on this Olympia, or otherwise you're going to be in hospital the way I'm going, the way I was running myself into the ground. And she was right. I knew that. My body wasn't in a good spot, and I was tired. She allowed me to go to New York and train out of Bev's gym for the last 3 weeks of my prep, and it was invaluable. My body changed literally by the minute each day, because I was resting up, I was in camp, my main focus was where my next meal was. If I needed sleep, I took it. I trained intense, as hard and as long as I needed to. There was no other obligations, and it was just paradise for a bodybuilding prep. And the changes my physique made in that 3 weeks is what won me that title. And I can't believe, that actually happened in such a short time. So, stepped on stage for Prejudging, 47 of the best athletes in the world, and we're going in to do our comparisons. And all I remember was the things that Steve Weinberger told me 3 weeks before. He was saying, your back shot is what you have to perfect and get right, and that's something I've been working on tirelessly for the past year. Tyler Mannion said it to me last year at the Olympia, said my back's just not strong enough to hold in the top 3 against Erin, Brandon, people like that. So I've worked twice a week on my back for a full year, and I've worked 50 rounds every day, broken up at 25 and 25 rounds of hitting my back pose. And Sadiq Hadzovic, a good friend of mine, said if you miss one of your poses, you have to start the count again. So it was 25. If you miss one of your poses, you don't hit it right, you have to start the count again. So I did thousands of these back shots. And we went on, and as soon as I hit my back shot, and the crowd just erupted, and I turned around to Steve and the judges, and they, like, you could see they were taken back by it. I just knew we're in this to fight, and it was such an amazing feeling, and it gave me that confidence, seeing the judges actually acknowledge me, because previous years they didn't, because I was out of the top 5, so they didn't even give me eye contact, whereas this, they knew I was in the running, and it gave me the confidence to really start to fight and battle and feel worthy of being in the mix. So the first call outs come. Obviously I'm always the last number to be called because of Terry, numerical order. I'm always the last person to come out. So they're counting everybody out: Jeremy Buendia, Brandon Hendrickson, Erin Banks, Kyron Holden. You're like, please come on, you're coming over, you've got one more space. 43, Ryan Terry. Oh, elated. Now you know. Now it's time to fight. You're in the top 6. It's time to fight now. Where are you going to place in the world? Everything you've worked towards, 20 years training, 16 weeks of prep, comes down to this, and you fight for it. And I'm on the side, And then they start moving places and stuff. And that moment, they said, Ryan, switch. And it was with Erin Banks. They switched me with Erin Banks, the current Mr. Olympia champion. And it meant that I was going dead centre against Brandon Hendrickson. And for me, the emotions just were unbelievable. I didn't even know I'd done this until I looked back at the footage. And it's not me as a person, but I was angry. I was like, not angry, but just fired up. And I was like, come on. And I didn't even know I was doing it, but I just wanted it and I was ready to fight. I wanted everybody to know how much this meant to me. So we stood there and it was weird because in those situations in previous years, I've kind of looked to the people around me and think, oh, am I doing good enough? Or is this okay? Whereas this I was like, now they can watch me, or they can fight against me. And that's what happened. I stood in that centre box and I never, ever let anybody think they could take that centre spot from me, which, again, anybody who knows me, that isn't me as a person. I'm quite like hopefully we'll do okay, and that type of attitude. Whereas this time I was like, fucking no, I'm having this, we're having it. And maybe because of what I went through with not being present for Alfie, being away from the family, knowing that I have to make that sacrifice worthwhile, and it probably gave me that why a bit more. So yeah, and then all of a sudden they went Brandon and Ryan, and I put my hand up like that to think they're gonna swap me out because I got so used to it the last few years. Go backstage, which meant I was top 2 in the world at that stage. No matter what, me and Brandon were fighting for first place, and we were top 2 in the world. And that feeling, honestly, guys, after everything we've been through, just unbelievable. I could get emotional now. It's just unbelievable feeling. And then, yeah, you go backstage and you know it's time to battle because they're going to go through the other 46 people and they're going to bring me and Brandon back out to fight on our own. So it was all about being ready for that battle. And that's what we did. We came back out, we battled, and we went away for finals. Got off stage, everybody's just so elated and happy for me. But all the while I'm thinking, I don't want to count my chickens yet. Let's just get home, stick to the plan, get my meals in, keep dry, keep the stomach empty. You've still got a job to do. We're not celebrating yet. And people were ringing, the forums were mental. Ryan's got this, hands down. And I was like, no, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Block the world out. You've got a job to do. Went into finals that evening. Again, I still felt really chilled. I felt like I had nothing to prove. And it just felt so right. The word is right. It felt right. And yeah, we went out, did the routine on the biggest Olympia stage that's ever been. Phenomenal. When I walked out on stage and you just saw the magnitude of the crowd, the magnitude of the stadium itself and the stage, it was just one I'll never forget. And I actually get like heart palpitations thinking about it now. And I'm naturally a very nervous person, so to do that was probably like the biggest fear factor of my life. But again, maybe the alter ego or whatever it is, my mind switches. As soon as I step out, it's fight or flight. It's like you go now, you go to war and you take what's yours. And yeah, that is exactly what we did. And I remember, I knew I was in the top 2, so we were going through the placings, and Erin Banks, Mr. Olympia, everybody said he's the Ronnie Coleman of men's physique now. He'll never be dethroned for the next 10 years, all that kind of stuff. And people believed it. People backing out of shows when they knew Erin was coming into shows. That's how much power this guy had. And when he was called out 3rd, and I knew I'd beat him, and that meant I'd beaten every single men's physique competitor, men's physique competitor that's walked the Olympia stage. I've beaten everybody now. So again, for me, that was like a dick. But we walk into centre stage anyway, me and Brandon. And if you see the footage, you'll see this. I was trying to stop myself from doing it. It was involuntary. I was so nervous. And I even now, just doing that, I'm like, what am I doing? Stop doing that, Ryan. You look stupid. But I just couldn't. It was just involuntary. And the nerves was just, unbelievable. And it felt like Bob Ciccarello must have held that and knew for about 30 minutes. Just the longest and knew I've ever heard of. But that's all you long to hear as an athlete. And you've never won the Olympia anyway. I need to say that. That's all you want to hear, those 2 words, is and knew. And then there on after, you want to hear and still. But and knew, I was just wanting to hear it so much. And then when he said it, honestly, that feeling of just, I don't want to get emotional, just disbelief, just knowing 20 years training, 10 years attempting that Olympia title, some of the biggest ups and the biggest downs in my career, fighting for that place. The social things with the family. Well, I miss so many social things with the family. Every athlete has. I'm not trying to say I'm just me. Nobody else went through it. But just knowing how much you sacrifice. Every show you've done, every prep 16 weeks, every time you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running in the snow and never missing a meal, feeling tired, feeling injuries and hip surgeries, 3 hip surgeries, and everything just comes flooding back to you, because all of those things were just stepping stones to the Olympia. Every title I ever won, every competition I ever did, every prep I ever did was always to get to that Olympia, to win that title. So all of that just comes rushing back at you. My legs went, I was like jelly. I was like, oh shit, I can't. I just, pure disbelief, a dream come true, career resume completed, and just life made. Sounds simple, but life made all in that split second. That one word, new. And just unbelievable. And it was just amazing to see all the other athletes come, and I'm glad they did and come and congratulate me, because if they didn't, I think I would have passed out. My legs were like jelly, and I couldn't take it all in, and it was all getting a bit like, holy shit, what's just happened? My life's changed forever. I'm complete. I'm a completed man. And to then find out from the judges, and even the judges got emotional because they've seen me compete for 10 years and they've wanted me to have that title, but it's always been me messing little things up, and I've not been worthy of it in previous years. So for them to get emotional, and for them actually to come backstage and say to me, in all the years they've judged, they've never seen it where, one, the whole crowd erupts, but at the same time all the other athletes rush on stage to congratulate the winner. And for me that meant so much more than, I don't know, the materialistic side, winning the money and winning this and winning that. It was more the fact that these other athletes had so much respect for me, and I'll always be grateful for that. And I think probably because, obviously I'm one of they call it the OGs, but one of the originals, and these guys who were speaking, like Diego Montenegro, for instance, sent me some pictures saying I got him into training, and like he's been doing it a long time now as well, but like all these people saying like, we're so glad you've got it. And even Brandon Hendrickson, who would feel bitter, and he wasn't. He was amazing. He said, if I was to lose to anybody, I want it to be you. And it just felt so right, so amazing that they were all happy for me. Obviously he'd be gutted. He wants his 4th title. He wants to match Jeremy Buendia, but the fact he was elated and happy for me, just meant so much more. And ever since then, it's just been unbelievable. Like going backstage and all the staff, all the pro tamming girls, all the producers, the music, the lighting, the judges from other shows, all of them just congratulating me and just saying about bloody time. And going into the gala evening on the Saturday evening, which is after the show, and you've got the greats, the legends of our sport from all past decades, Samir Banu, Jay Cutler, Phil Heath, just to name a few, Chris Bumstead, all coming up and just congratulating, and like, just so surreal, because these guys are Mr. Olympians themselves. They've won it multiple times. They're world famous in their own right. To just come and show the respect, and I now know I'm in their circle, so to speak. It's just one I'll never forget, and I'm still on cloud 9 now. And all the while I loved being out there, I just couldn't wait to get home, and obviously back to daddy duties. I've only been back less than 24 hours, and I've cleaned nappies up, I've done the school run, I've been up 2 o'clock and 4 o'clock with Elsie feeding her, been on dog walks, back to the gym doing site meetings. But it's just amazing to be able to experience what I've experienced and go through it with the family, and I'm just over the moon. And I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you for all the support. Thank you to everyone who not only believed in me in this prep, but in my whole career. Like, people believed in me 9 years ago, 10 years ago when I first started, and they still do to this day. And that means a lot. It really does. And I may not have been able to do it without the support of everybody around me. So, massive thank you to all you guys. I really do appreciate it. And I hope I can represent the sport in a way in which it should be represented. No bullshit, no fighting and arguing and bickering. I want it to be a positive year. I want it to be where yeah, there's just happy. We're building the sport, building the industry, building men's physique as a community in a positive way, not just trying to cause itty bitty bickering shit to create some views and to create tension. So that isn't me, guys. It never has been, it never will be, and it won't ever change just because I'm the champ. Might get a little bit more big-headed, just a little bit. But I've earned it, okay? Just give me that, a little bit of that. But yeah, thank you to everybody. Thank you to the IFBB Pro League. Thank you to NPC World wide. Thank you to the Mr. Olympia. All the federations have made this happen. But most of all, thank you to you guys at home. I really appreciate it. Thanks for the Olympia champion. Whoa! It only took 9 years. Thanks, guys.